Hello, in this video, we are going to take a good look at data frames in R, but let me motivate the fact that we need actually data frames in R. In the last video, we learned more about our vectors. Remember, vectors can keep only the similar type of values in a vector or list of values that you would like to use. In this, for example, in this case, we kept grades. Those are all numerical. Let's assume that we would like to keep, grades with numbers and letter grades. Let's call a variable whose name is mixed grades, and let's try to do less than and a hyphen. This means equals to or assigned to. In a column, so we just type C and open the parentheses. We just would like to say 98, and then I would like to say and A. So it will be 87, and that will be B, right? Um, and let's assume that I would like to keep only these four values. So I would like to be able to keep strings and numbers in the same vector. And let's try to execute this. Okay, it does give me a character, right? What it does is it actually keeps 98 not as a number, but it's a character. So what it does is it converts automatically whatever I put in into a favorite R's favorite character. I'm not sure why it pick character instead of a number, but I hope that you see the problem here. So I would like to be able to keep 98 as a number, 87 as a number, A as a string, and B as a string, but it doesn't do it that way, right? It keeps everything in character. Well, the solution to it is data frames, all right? So let me get rid of this, okay? We're not going to use it here. So in R, data frames are like Excel tables. Like in Excel tables, you can just keep the name of a person and then grade of that person or address of that person and then telephone number of that person, right? Some numbers, some text spots for some certain informations. Those can be all stored in an Excel file. So um, in data frames in R, we could literally just do that, but we have to know how to define them. So it's not really that difficult. So what we do is we type the name of the students, or actually, let's assume that I'm just going to keep a student's database. And what I do is I type the name of the data frame, and then I come over here, I say hyphen and less than assigns to, and then I just type data. Right? If you type data and hit enter, actually, it should be autocomplete. Right? So I just type data, right? R is giving you potential list of options, and then hit frame. Well, it gives you a bunch of different ways to create a data frame. What I will do here is I am in parentheses call the vector name is, for example, sorry, not the vector. Yes, it's going to be the vector name of name, and I'm going to create a vector of 2 with the first names, John and Jane. And then I will hit comma and create a grade column or vector, right? And then I will create a numerical grades for those two, John and Jane. So John's grade is 87, Jane's grade is 92. And I hit comment and enter, okay? So as you can see, it created a table for me, right? So you can click on this data. It says that name is a character, now grade is a number. Well, that's great because previously I tried to do this in vector. I was not able to. Now I could see my numerical grades and as well as a character data names in the same data set. Um, Similarly, you can just type the name of the data frame, like in this case students, and then hit comment and enter. You see that you could see name column John Jane and grade column 82 and 92, and as well as their indices here, right? Row 1, row 2. This is going to be very useful because the data files that we are going to be importing into R, those are usually going to be kept as a data frame, and then we will be able to do a lot of manipulations, data cleaning, data operations in data frames. Um, some other way of retrieving your data frames on a Neve tab. I believe it can be done with the view function. And if you just say view with capital V, students, and execute this line, it's going to open up the data frame in a new tab. So sometimes it is useful to see it on a different tab. Okay. All right. So how do we access a specific location in a data frame? It is very simple. So we do access it by using square brackets. So what we do here is that we do say that students open in square brackets 1, comma 2. It is going to basically going to get the first row, second column, 87. Right? It's like a matrix, right? And then let's execute this, and you see that it is going to give us 87. What is some other way to create a data frame? Well, it actually can be done in multiple different ways. Let's say that you have a list of columns or vectors. I use columns and vectors interchangeably, so don't get confused when I say vectors or columns. So let's assume that we do have ID vector, ID column, items, store, price. So IDs are numeric, items are text, stores values are logical, and price values are double. So because we do have 2.5 here, so it's fractional. So let's assume that we would like to keep everything under these 4 separate columns in a single data frame. So let's go ahead and select all these 4 and execute them all. Command and enter. It created extra vectors for me. So those are kept in different vector values. And let's assume that I would like to combine them all in a data frame. And all I have to do is to create a different data frame. I call it DF. Usually DF is, it is not a must, but usually people use DF as a symbol to refer to a data frame that you create. It's a very common variable name, data frame name. And let's assume that I would like to create a data frame named DF, and I would like to incorporate all these 4 in the same data frame. But pay attention to it, right? So what do you see here? You do see 4 entries here, 4 entries here, 4 values here, and 4 values here, right? If one of them has 3 or 2, and the other one is 5 or 4, this is not going to work out for you. R is going to give you an error, right? But in this case, every column, every vector that I would like to use in my data frame has 4 values, so it should work out for me. So let's assume that I hit command and enter here. It created a data frame for me, and then it has ID column, items, store, price column, and then you see that ID is numeric, items is character, store is logical, and price is numeric as well. Okay, and let's assume that I would like to display the DF to see what it looks like. You do see that the column names came with the vectors, and then I do have my row numbers here. It looks a really nice table for me, right? As I said, you can access to a specific location in the table, and the way that you do it, for example, df square bracket 1 comma 2 is going to give you the first row, second column, and that's going to be the book, right? So let's execute it. You see that book is retrieved because it is in the first row and second column. What if you would like to retrieve more from the column, so from the row side, and you do it with a column operator? So everything to the left of comma in square brackets of a data frame is referring to the rows, and everything to the right is referring to the column. In this case, I am calling every row from 1 to 2, row 1 and row 2, comma. Since I'm leaving the column index empty, it means that I'm referring to all columns. So it's going to literally call the first 2 rows for me, right? Let's execute it. You see that it called me the first 2 rows, right? So if you would like to do it, like for example, change this to 2 to 4 and execute it. When I say execute, I am talking about hitting command and return on Mac or control and enter on Windows. You see that it actually got me row 2, row 3, and row 4. All right. Similarly, on the right to the comma in the data frame refers to the column index. In this case, let me call df one more time. And this is what my data frame looks like, right? And when I say data frame in square brackets, emptiness, comma, and 1, I'm actually referring to all rows here because the left of the comma is empty, okay? And the right of the comma is implying just column 1. I am actually going to call the ID column only. That's because that's column 1. Okay, it selects row 1. See, it retrieves the row 1 value, sorry, column 1 values to me. It is 10, 20, 30, and 40. Well, you can make it a little bit more complex, and let's assume that you would like to see row 1 to 1, 2, 3, because 1 column 3 implies that you are looking for rows 1, 2, 3, and column 3, 4. That's it. Okay. It gives you the store column, price column, and first row, second row, and third row. You can also call the column names, like because we use the ID and store columns right here, right? And you could actually call different columns of data frames by using their names, right? This is the syntax. Usually I use this, but it depends. If you would like to use the column names, you can definitely slice the data. This is called slicing. You could slice your data frames like this, okay? All right, on the next video, I'm going to show you how you can import CSV and Excel files into RStudio and do more complex operations.